Hi.
Hey everybody, welcome to Knock Knock Hi with us, the Glaucomfleckens. I am Dr. Glaucomflecken, also known as Will Flannery.
I am Lady Glaucomflecken, also known as Kristen Flannery.
I got a little confused for a second because I've been doing a lot of Knock Knock I episodes. And so I was like,
forgot which one we were doing.
Forgot. It's been a little bit since we've last recorded an episode
just
together.
the recording schedule has
what's
been
been going on? I
wonky.
haven't seen you in a while.
Oh.
How you been? You're looking good these days.
Oh, boy, thank you.
Yeah?
I'm glad you noticed.
Yeah, I like your hair.
I did my hair
Doing something
special.
different with it?
You know what? I had a really good wash day. 2 wash days in a row now. I think I might have figured it out.
I'm so glad you figured out how to bathe yourself at the age of 39.
Curly hair know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Sometimes you get a stinker.
You all heard it here. It took 39 years for Kristen to figure out how to wash.
I figured out how to make my curls do what I want them to do when I wash.
I'm sure that's a wonderful breakthrough. And
I mean, you could use some tips.
Oh, you absolutely
just
could.
saying.
I don't know. I don't do much.
You just let them go, which, that's fine. That's a whole vibe, too.
I'm a wild and crazy guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. So we have a very special guest today.
We do. It's a first of a category.
Peter Jacobson. You all know him. You've all seen him.
Yeah.
He's an actor. He's been in a lot of different TV shows and movies over the years, and some stage work as well. He is best known for his portrayal of Dr. Chris Taub. I keep saying Taub, but it's Taub on the Fox medical drama House.
Yes, we talk about this show a lot.
I always talk about House. I love House. One of my favorite shows. The House and ER are like top of the mountain for me. Like they're on my Mount Rushmore of medical shows, in addition to Scrubs. Scrubs, House, ER. Like a lot of people would put Grey's on there, but
you never got into Grey's
never
Anatomy.
Watched Grey's. What would be my fourth?
Don't look at me.
What is it? What?
You like to watch things where everybody ends up miserable, so I don't tend to watch
just
things
medicine.
with you.
That's just life and healthcare. Okay,
I guess so.
MASH is a good one.
Oh yeah,
that's
got to
be. That's probably got to be on there too.
There's some more recent ones, but we haven't really.
I don't watch.
Gotten into The Good Doctor and
what's this
other one?
There's The Resident.
The Resident, yeah.
There's in New Amsterdam.
And
there's a bunch of them.
Shanti, help me out. Chicago
Med.
Is that what it is?
Chicago
Yeah,
Med.
Chicago Med. Yes.
Yeah, Shanti loves that show. No, so we're talking to Peter Jacobson and our first actor on the podcast. And we would, it's what we've been wanting to. We talked to a lot of real life doctors. So it was great to talk to one of my favorite pretend doctors.
I refrained from asking a question that I really wanted to ask.
What?
But I knew you would.
What was it?
You would roll your eyes at me. It was, has he ever gotten to use the line, "I'm not a doctor, but I played one on TV"?
Totally should have asked him that. Totally.
See, I knew that would
next
be
time we
reaction.
have a pretend doctor on, you'll have to one who played.
I'm sure they've never heard that before.
But he's a very accomplished actor. He went to Juilliard. That was it. And it was 4 seasons of House, and so we talk a lot about that, his experience. We talked a lot about acting and the differences between trying to make it in acting versus coming up in medicine. Believe it or not, there's some overlap.
We found a lot of similarities in talking about the differences.
It was
interesting.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
It really was. And then we decided by the end that I'm going to quit medicine and go to acting.
Well,
I'm going to become an actor. So anyway, should we get to it?
Let's go.
Here we go. Here is Peter Jacobson. Today's episode is brought to you by the Nuanced Dragon Ambient Experience, or DAX for short. To learn more about how the DAX Copilot can help reduce burnout and restore the joy of practicing medicine, stick around after the episode or visit nuance.com/discoverdax. That's nuance.com/discoverdax. All right, we are here with Peter Jacobson. Peter, I can't tell you how excited we are to talk to you today. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much. It's totally my pleasure.
So,
at least at this point, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, well, let's see what you think when we're done.
I don't want to jump.
Okay,
get too soon.
That's fair.
there's a number of reasons why I'm very excited for this. Number one is because we have a lot of real doctors, like medical doctors on this podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, those. But you're the first pretend doctor that we've had
besides
on.
you.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess, ophthalmology, to give or take, I don't know, it depends on who you ask. But,
okay.
Well, what I would like to do before we jump into it is, can I give people like a little bit of a short summary on who your character was? Can we talk about Chris Taub for a second?
I'd love to. I always love to talk about Chris Taub. Or have others talk about him to my face. I love that. That's what we're doing. Go, baby, go.
You never you might be tired of it at this point, right? Does it ever get old?
No,
yeah. The
show that ended.
It ended over 10 years ago. It was easily in the top 2 of my favorite jobs ever, favorite characters ever, favorite experiences ever. And I've been doing this for 122 years now. So that's saying something. And and so it was such a joy to be in it and to be it and just everybody involved. So and I get feedback from it all the time. People literally, especially in Utah, they're like, what are you doing here? And they want to talk about it. People want to talk about the show for a million different reasons. And it always warms my heart. So go ahead.
Oh, good. Right. So I'm just a few things, because I don't know if you're aware that there is a very extensive Wikipedia page for Chris Taub out there.
I am not.
Are you aware of this?
But I am now.
Okay. All right. Well, just a few things just for listeners who may not be aware. So in Kristen, you may not know some of these things as well. So in high school, Chris Taub was the best boy of his high school graduating class and class president.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So
that's right.
Overachiever.
He's very smart, very smart. He also is a fair athlete. Fair. Maybe not like an overwhelming athlete, but he played a very competitive game of basketball against Eric Foreman.
Okay.
Well,
on the show.
I thought you meant fair and that he's balanced. He's fair and balanced. He's not just like mediocre, which is how I do. He's always
you're like
he's
an
never
adequate
cheating.
athlete.
He never cheats. While he kicks everybody's ass.
That's right. Exactly. Also, Chris Taub published in the New England Journal of Medicine.
Oh.
That's great.
Congratulations.
That's the one. Thank you. Sorry, from the layman's perspective,
huge.
I would assume that's the best one.
That is a high-ranking journal, and so you already got a lot of cred with all my medical audience here, knowing that you're the fake doctor, published in such a prestigious journal. Residency in plastic surgery, right? And what I like about the character, actually, that's I think it holds up well is your non-traditional status. Because that's you don't see that a lot in medical shows,
right?
Of someone who had another career, then went back and did more training, as whatever
switch paths,
whatever fellowship program you want to call whatever it was on House MD. You're an everythingologist is what I think you were.
One of the criticisms we get, one of the raised eyebrows from people in the medical community is, oh, right, you're the dermatologist who can also perform neurosurgery twice in one day. We understand that we were pushing the envelope, but I'll take it.
I love it. And I want to get back to the criticism in here in a second, but one more line just about Chris Taub's personality.
Yeah.
All right. Easily the most sarcastic and confrontational of the fellows, and always ready with a witty rejoinder when it is required. I think that sums you up pretty well. That's pretty good. I like it.
That's it.
You got to go back. You got to go and find this. This is like a House MD Wikipedia page.
All right.
It's great.
Well, it's like it's a fandom.
It's a fandom. It's all your fans. All the many fans of Chris Taub out there. So actually, let's start with the perception. Since you mentioned it, they got a lot of it. There's a lot more that I didn't read out, but I figured I wouldn't want to waste time just reading your Wikipedia page.
If you want to, I'll listen for an hour. It's very satisfying.
So, Peter, when you were in it and the height of the house phenomenon, were you aware of the medical field's perception of either your character or the show? How did that
Um,
come to you?
well, not of my character. Nobody ever came up and said, "I don't believe that you can do that," or "God, you're a good." Well, actually, that's not true. Here's a story that's sort of that's on the one end of the spectrum of that. I was at the airport, and a man came up to me and was like, "House, you're Dr. Taub, right?" And I was like, "Yes." And I was about to getting ready for the usual, "Thank you. I'm glad you like the show. Oh, Hugh Laurie is as smart and wonderful as you think he is." Um, that, that was about it. And but then he goes, "Can you come with me, please? Can you come with me? My son has a pain in his arm." And I realized he was
Oh
totally
my God.
serious. He was like, come over, we're over at this gate." And I was like, "Well, I have to catch my flight, and either way, you're crazy because I am not a real doctor. Thank you, but I can't really help your son." I got out of it politely, but I was like, "Oh, I shouldn't be looking at his arm." He wasn't
Oh my
joking, and
gosh.
I am aware, I know when somebody's
Wow.
joking. It was a weird moment. I was like, "Wow." I mean, he didn't seem like just an insane person. He was very enthusiastic and very sweet, but he really
Sure.
wanted me to look at his son's arm, and I wondered if truly the show has, you never know how people watch TV. You're in their living rooms, and there's a lot of heart in the
Right.
connectivity between spectator or audience member and a show that is that big and is on for that long, and people get invested. I do. We all do. That's the beauty of TV, and of what on my end, it's a lovely part of it that people really care. But that was like, okay, wait a minute
Yeah.
now. That's pushing it. That's way out there. But in terms of what the medical community, act not crazy people in the airport, but whenever a doctor or somebody in the medical community came up and said, "We love your show," the reasons they gave were because that above among all the other medical shows like Grey's, I think ER might have I think ER was gone by then, but Grey's and House were sort of
Yeah.
neck and neck for a while. They both started around the same time. Grey's is like in their 35th season and obviously won the horse race in terms of longevity. But they were the two big medical
Well, that
shows
might
at the
not necessarily
time.
be a really great thing to have that kind of longevity, but that's okay.
Yeah, you know what? I when we finished House, I was like, I'm ready to end. But at this point now, with I've got different priorities in my life. I would give anything to be in my 35th season. But that shifts as you go in your life. I've got certain other financial responsibilities. I wouldn't mind a graze right now. But the point was that doctors often complimented us relative to a show like Grey's, which felt more like a soap opera. To me, that read that
Mhm.
there were more handsome people than me on the show. Shocking as that might have been, that was more about the soaps and the love affairs. And House had its share of that, but we were the medical show, and I know we were out there and crazy,
Right.
but I could tell every week the writers and the staff that we had, they were like, they didn't miss a thing. Now that's, I know we did miss a lot of stuff, but they were so serious about the medicine, and these were all really crazy cases, but they were grounded in things that they took real cases that they knew had happened. The research was there, and I know people, you don't prep for surgery in 20 minutes and then have it last 20 minutes and then do another surgery later that day. I wouldn't be doing the things that I was doing. All those given in terms of like what you've got to suspend in terms of having a TV show happen. But there was still this sense from doctors that they appreciated that we were getting a lot of the medicine right, and that there was some level of
Yeah.
reality that we were dealing in that a lot of other medical shows didn't get.
Well, and I didn't know how you would. That's very. That's great. I'm glad you got that feedback because I was going to defend the show as you know what doctors need to just relax a little bit
Okay.
and realize
It's generally
it's
true.
television,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Like it's we
Right.
got
Okay.
it's okay to suspend belief. It's all right, yeah, nobody breaks into someone's house just to get some information,
Oh,
like to
that
take
stuff. Yeah.
water samples from the roof, that kind of
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
but
We knew what we were doing was really
but
pushing.
I yeah, and it's I'm okay with suspending my
Yeah,
belief a
because
little bit.
they're not actually practicing
Right.
medicine here.
Exactly.
They're telling a story.
Right.
So I
It
feel like we can give them some grace.
it's so funny because there are certain things that will just like trigger like a medical professional in shows like that. It's like the quality of the chest compressions.
Oh yeah, that's a big one
that really like sets people off. Like, wow. Oh, that's not CPR. Meanwhile, like, how are you supposed to like, do actual chest compressions on like an actor? I don't know. It's hard to.
Well, I think the argument is like you're showing this to the public, so they're going to be thinking that is what CPR is.
Right.
They're not going to be effective if they ever have to do it. But
between me and the person watching in the living room, I'm guessing that I actually know more about more medicine than they do. Not about an actual doctor, but in the actor audience relationship, we can be believable.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to ask you about that. And like, how many consultants did you have working on the show? Like what was that interaction? What was your
homework?
Like?
The homework I especially in the beginning, especially during the reality show part of my first season, when literally our jobs were on the line and we were needing to impress everybody in the show and in the studio. And any actor's work, you want to, if you're good, I think you are getting as thorough as you can. And I had never had a role where the information that I needed to be expert at was so intense and so expansive. So I did the best I could to sort of know everything I could about what I was saying. I mean, any actor wants to do that in any context. You just, you're playing a person who knows this and believes this. So this was information that I knew nothing about. But I was pretty thorough in my studying it, and I wouldn't go down the rabbit hole of every disease, but if I had a scene where I was talking intelligently about something, I wanted to feel like that's really the case. So to the extent that I really had the time and could, dig deep without going crazy, I wanted to show up as knowledgeable as I could. Somehow, for me, I think the feedback I got was that somehow this face speaking medical terms quickly was believable. I don't know. I look like a doctor, as they say, and so and we all, but all of our.
Well, clearly that guy in the airport thought so.
Absolutely, but I mean, all the actors on the show were really great at, I think, doing the research that they needed to do, and I believed everybody. But in terms of the staff, the writers, they just spent weeks writing each episode. So I don't know, the extent of their, the people on their staff, who they had, who was researching what, but they were thorough. So their research was good. On the show itself, what you guys saw, like me being able to do chest compressions relatively realistically, or, the hardest one for me was drawing blood. It's one of these, I mean, blocking, you can, do a lot of different things as an actor. It's the easiest to stand there with your arms crossed and just talk. Once there's props and things to do, the brain needs a little more time. And doing some of the medical stuff, that was really hard. Like, pulling a tourniquet, getting it right, and having it be real. That took me some time to get good at. And there was a woman whose name is Bobbin Bergstrom, who was a nurse, a professional nurse, and she was there for all the medical stuff. And she was the sweetest and the funniest, and she was just lovely, and she was so great at her job. And I loved doing the medicine. So whenever she was, whenever I had stuff to do and she was there and we go over it, and I'd have to really work it and get it, and often mess up. You get the lines right, but suddenly, you've jabbed the needle into his neck when it was supposed to be in his arm. You're like, oh shit, I blew that. But Bobbin was great. And so there's always somebody there to make sure that we were getting it as real as we possibly could. But clearly the chest compressions look bad. So my apologies to the billion people who were.
No, not your chest compressions specifically. Just that is often a thing people will.
That's more the weird idiosyncrasies with physicians, and so that's totally that's our neuroses, not a problem with you.
But as an actor, I really want to get it right. So after this, if I were to play a doctor again and ever had the chance to do a chest compression, this conversation would be having a big impact on. I would really be careful to make sure.
There you go.
Well, I could teach you a thing or two.
Yeah.
Because I did 10 minutes of chest compressions on him.
That's right.
A few years ago.
Yep,
so.
she saved my life.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
The key is to try. it's a whole thing, man.
It is.
Talk about a movie. Maybe we could get Peter to play me. And
yeah, there we go.
In 10 years.
You'll have to get like a curly wig, though, I think. Yeah.
That's right.
Any hair will do. I could use it.
Well, tell us about where were you at in your career? How did you feel about your acting career at the time where you got hired to do that show? Because you had been around. You've been acting for quite a while.
I've been kicking around for a bit.
To that point.
Well, House sort of came on the tail end of a couple years of getting some TV jobs, some miniseries. What back then there were rarely were there miniseries back then, but now everything's a miniseries. But meaning that shows that that lasted more than one episode. I'd done a lot of guest spots. That's how we make our money. You do a guest spot here, a guest spot there, but the holy grail is, of course, something that lasts longer. And I had done 2 miniseries back to back. One was this weird sci-fi thing called The Lost Room that was followed by a sort of Hollywood romance comedy called The Starter Wife. Both of those were playing characters over a period of time, over some episodes, and they got a little bit of attention. And I felt like I was maybe on the cusp of moving into more regular TV, which is what I was looking for. I had started just doing theater and then smaller parts and in TV and film, but suddenly I was getting some bigger parts. And then House came along. It was offered as a 9-episode arc. So. And it was a massive hit at the time. So already I knew like, oh, this is good. I will definitely want to do this, even if it's just 9 episodes. I did not know until I think the 7th or 8th episode, this insane reality show thing where, I didn't know that I was then going to become a regular. So there were sort of 2 stages. One was really, really cool to be on a show this big and to know that I had basically a season to play. And that's the kind of exposure I had never had. I felt ready for it just as an actor. I've had my wheels, as I said, were sort of, the machinery is beginning to sort of click in terms of what it felt like to be on a show for a while. And that takes some learning. And it was exciting, but it was also weird as hell because I was literally auditioning every day. But then when I got cast as the regular, when I was chosen along with Olivia and Cal, then things changed mostly they changed in that I was just thrilled to have a show that I knew was not going anywhere for some time. Even though you get fired a million times, I had an opportunity to really get to know the writers and they got to know me. And that's the kind of synchronicity that's really wonderful as an actor because we're working with each other and they're writing for me. And I really felt as Taub went on, they understood me and where my strengths were and just what my sense of humor was. And so the sarcasm and the stuff that you're reading in the Wikipedia page, that doesn't surprise me that's who they made, they sort of took me and developed him. And that's just a wonderful experience to have that kind of stability and that kind of creativity with these amazing writers on a show that is loved. I don't expect it'll happen again. It was a once in a lifetime thing. I hope it does. But they were 5 amazing years. And in terms of, at my 2nd and 3rd season, I think House was the #1 show on the planet. Just in terms of, it was never #1 in the United States. It was usually in the top 10, but like it was like, like 1 billion people watched the show. Cause I've had experiences with people from everywhere were like, oh my God, my son went to medical school because of your show. Like a woman from Ghana came up to me and I was like, wow, this show really reaches all corners of the earth. And that's an amazing thing. And so just the way that House lives on, and now with streaming, young people watch it. And I'm like, wow, these kids, it's a harsh show. I mean, and the characters House himself is just, that's a mouthful. That's a handful. And, so it's neat. It changed everything because it didn't like my career is, I think, been a lovely, lucky blessing of a sort of steady movement and steady employment. But I don't think I'd be where I am without House, for sure.
Well, hearing you describe it sounds incredibly stressful to just not know if you're going to get work. And so I have just hearing you describe this.
This is like the exact opposite of going into medicine, right? Like one of the perks is or job security.
Exactly. We have so much job security as like once you get into med school, it's like you'll have a job. You'll get
As
to
long as you
work.
don't do something egregious,
Right.
you're fine now.
And so
I,
the pressure that you and other actors must face to like not know, okay, like I might be a series regular, and then you have this. Does it help you? Do you just relax a little bit at that point once you're like, oh, they told me I'm going to be a regular. I get two seasons or something, or two, you know,
absolutely.
d- yeah,
I mean, everything is, even if you have a guest spot that's just a one off, unless your character is dying in that episode. I mean, anything, a cop show, any show, there's always in the back of your head, well, I mean, it's an audition at all moments. There's
Yeah.
people here you're trying to impress, frankly, the producers, the writers. You
hmm
don't know when that writer's going to do another show. They might love you enough and say, oh, wow, that worked so well. We're going to write other episodes for you. It's always that kind of a game. And frankly, the first 10 years of my career, that was just the biggest stress, and the thing that was unhappy making was that I just found it hard to relax, because it's the constant, and that takes you out of
yeah,
yourself, which is the exact thing you don't want as an actor. You get taken out of just showing up and being be able to be creative, because if, for me at least, if I'm trying to impress or worried about this, does he like me? Did she like me? Am I going to get fired? Which is usually 30% of your brain is thinking that at any moment as an actor, and any actor tells you otherwise is full of it. At least in those early stages, that's not the best, healthiest, easiest, most fun way to just
yeah,
flow and be creative. So when they said 9 episodes, I was like, cool, that's a level of relaxation. But right away, so I get on set and I'm like, great, I got 9 episodes. But then when I meet Hugh and everybody else, I realize, well, now I want to become a regular. So now that
yeah.
pressure's on. And it's better than 1 episode, more relaxing, but nothing is better than when they say you're a regular, and we like you, which is all that means, which is all I ever want to hear on any level.
That's good.
And yeah, you relax into it. And that makes your work better. I believe it really does. It's always hard to come in to a group that's already like the home team and the cool kids, and
hmm
you're sort of trying to make an impression. That's just a tricky situation. So when you become part of the team, and you're there, and you're not thinking, am I okay? You're there to work. It's a lovely, lovely, relaxing feeling. Now, you guys
Imagine,
probably,
yeah.
as doctors, you're like, there are moments when you wish you weren't working, because you're just too tired or it's stressful. I've never, ever had a moment of like, I wish I wasn't working. And most actors are the same.
Yeah.
They're just like, please, God, give me another day.
Yeah.
It is interesting to know the differences as a physician. There's one thing though that I'm curious about. Um, when you're a med student, when we're going through medical training, we learn about all these different diseases, and inevitably we think, oh, what if I
Mm.
have that
Oh,
disease?
God.
Like I feel like, oh my God, I'm learning about this horrible thing. Oh, did my leg twitch funny? I think I might have this terrible thing that only 1 in a million people have. I must have it.
Oh, my God.
Did you ever feel that?
Well, I am a hypochondriac, so it's a totally legitimate question.
Good.
And you would think that given that house would have just freaked me out at every step.
Yeah.
But you're like, the blood is sticky blood, and
hmm
the technology for making it real is technology, and the people who are on the being operated on, to me, it was just funny to, they've got 6 hours of lying there, and
Yeah.
Oh
and
yeah.
they would often fall asleep, and we'd have to wake them up, and to watch an actor wake up thinking, oh shit, I was asleep on the job, literally. Those things always I found humorous, and it's like, I just shot a horror film recently, and
Mm,
when you're in it, it is the least scary thing imaginable, because
Mm.
it's, you're just
right.
you're making it happen. So same thing with medicine. I thought I would be hypochondriacal and worried, but it was,
hmm
if anything, it
Okay.
just made me just sort of, I don't know, I just became more comfortable around science, around medicine, and not that I
You're
knew
so
anything.
Yeah.
you're not talking, you're doing lines about a patient with a worm in their brain, and you're not thinking, oh man, like the symptoms I'm talking about,
Do I have
oh my
that?
God,
No,
that maybe, I ate a questionable taco the other day. I don't know, like
Well,
it's
there are some
possible.
episodes that have changed my behavior. Like there was one where the loofah scrub was the culprit, because it's somehow there was some kind of
all the
there was something
bacteria.
some bacteria that got into her brain, and it caused a bezoar, which was some, I don't know,
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
anything. Anyway, it was the
Yeah.
loofah was the culprit, and I don't look at loofah scrubs the same now. But so that's just a little perk of having been on house. But that's I'm not walking around
That's
worried that I'm going to get attacked by a loofah scrub. I have, I think, a
Yeah, right. Yeah.
reasonable, intelligent avoidance of the
Be-
loofah scrub.
It's ruined. How else has ruined loofah scrubs for you? That's
Probably.
unfortunate. That's too
but
bad.
but there's so much of the medicine. Like one of my like a typical one was, I remember Janelle Maloney, who was from The West Wing. She was a lovely actress, and she was the patient in one episode, and she had breast cancer behind her knee. And it was just, and I guess that's happened.
Counterintuitive.
Oh, I remember
Yeah.
that.
But I remember thinking that is so nuts, and it was that kind of nutsiness that
Uh-huh.
was sort of par for the course. So it was
Right.
always sort of like a little bit removed from anything too real. Loofah was about as
Yeah.
real as and normal as it got.
Yeah.
It's great. Let's take a short break. We'll come right back. Hey, Kristen.
Yeah.
We got to talk about infectious disease.
Why? What's wrong with you?
Oh, not me.
Oh.
I want
good.
to tell you about Precision.
Oh.
This is great. It's the first ever EHR integrated infectious disease AI platform.
Very cool.
Yeah, for any specific patient, it automatically highlights better antibiotic regimens.
So helpful.
Helps with burnout. It just helps you save lives.
Yeah.
It's great. To see a demo, go to precision.com/KKH. That's precision spelled with an X instead of an E. So prxision.com/KKH. All right, we are back with Peter Jacobson, and another question I have: you've been on a couple different medical shows, right? It's I think you've done like a one-off episode or a few episodes on some different shows, but you've also done a lot of work on crime shows.
Mm-hmm.
What do you prefer? If you had a choice, you had two
If you're going to be
scripts in front of you
typecast in
here.
these 2 boxes.
Well,
What do you gravitate to?
I mean, I thought you were going to say legal shows, because that's the other one. I'm usually
Oh,
a
yeah.
lawyer, a
Oh,
doctor.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, legal
Lawyer,
shows.
doctor.
Maybe
But
that's
I
what I
Okay, 3
meant.
boxes.
Yeah.
I think right now I would go for a crime show, just because it's a little bit outside my, my range. Well, I mean, playing a detective or playing a cop or so you have more chance
Yeah.
of playing a badass if you're on a unless I'm the perp himself. But even that's more, that's fun. It really depends on the show itself. I'm not predisposed towards something.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to play Richard III, at the Royal Shakespeare Company, or have my own Netflix series where I'm, some romantic god. But those two things aren't going to happen. So of the shows that I find myself on, a detective show or a law show or a medical show, it really just depends on what's the smartest, best show written and whether the character is interesting. I'll play somebody interesting anywhere in any context.
Do you like pushing your boundaries still? At this stage of your career, do you just feel comfortable in certain roles, or do you like the idea of getting outside your comfort zone? Because I'm comparing it to being a physician, and we really get set in our ways.
Yeah, like imagine
easily.
if you had to go be a whole different kind of physician.
or just
Well,
or
do you
just
have
like
opportunities?
or even
do you ever
just-
have opportunities for that as the I mean,
well,
that just doesn't happen.
There
Who
are
wants-
opportunities. Yeah, there
right,
are.
you
There
have
are.
to go through like 14 years of training.
Right. You can't switch specialties, but you do have
one would hope.
opportunities to. Right.
Yeah.
You have opportunities to adopt new techniques
Mhm.
and new things that are potentially like outside your comfort zone. So
Right.
is that a similar feeling with as an actor, that you're like, oh, I've never done that kind of role. I don't know. That seems like a lot of work. I mean, that seems a little difficult to like to you know what I'm saying. Do you ever feel that?
The only place where I feel like, I'm not really game for that push would be interesting. Something like where it's just harder for me to remember, like synesthesia, like, or to say it, like the medical jargon and the reams of it that I had on house. I just think was a little more deft. I just had a younger brain 15 years ago.
Gotcha.
So
Sure.
synesthesia doesn't come as easily. But for me as an actor, it's always been about um, what's the joy is what can I do that's not really me, even if it's something that feels close to home. What are the places that I get to go that I
Mm,
don't necessarily know, that don't come as easily? I do love a comfort zone, and I think
mhm,
probably as I've gotten older, I'm maybe a little bit more enamored of, like, oh yeah, I know that. But it's also, how do you distinguish between that and also just I'm better at it? It takes less effort. I just
Yeah,
am more
sure.
confident
right.
as a human, and I just sort of plus I've been doing it long enough now that I'm just more confident. So my comfort zone I don't even notice it as much. So but to your point, I really, really, I would think that the day I stop being interested and intrigued by something that makes me uncomfortable, or that I'm
Mhm.
not sure about, or that would take me to a scarier place, the day I'm not interested in that, I should just hang it up, because
No, that's a good
that's
point.
the love
Yeah.
Y
for me.
Yeah, it seems like that's the job of an actor, right? Is to be
Mhm.
outside of your
Yeah,
normal
absolutely.
experience. So,
Yes.
And
as opposed to a doctor where you're really trying to become an
But
expert
that's
at
not to
one
say that
particular
there aren't,
thing.
but you can also, when I finish an audition, sometimes I get frustrated because I'm like, well, that character was me. I just got that. That's so me. And then I don't get the part. And I'm like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like I
That
want to
would
do
be
the
weird.
thing, and I'm really good at being me. So why can't I do
Right.
that? What you want is
how
you
do you
want to
get
get
how
the
do you
part
get
that's you and then push it.
how do you get over that rejection?
You don't.
Because well,
No,
I
you
mean,
do.
honestly, because I think fear of failure, fear of rejection, it's something that a lot of people in healthcare, in medicine, can relate to, because there are so many really high functioning, very smart people in medicine that haven't felt failure
Right.
very often. And so
But
when it
They haven't
comes,
developed the tools for it.
it can feel very like just turning your world upside down.
Well,
So
I was
maybe
gonna say that's a huge amount of pressure. That's a whole different level of pressure that you guys are experiencing than anything I could ever experience. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you're talking about, like, oh,
well,
I blew it, and I
I'm
mean,
not so
I
much.
didn't save somebody, or
Yeah, well, that's part of it.
But I feel like there's also like a saving face element, right? Like there's the life and death stuff, and that is obviously like its own
yeah,
very objective. You saved a
Yeah,
life or you didn't.
right.
But then there's also the like you want to seem like the smartest med student in the room, right? So the attending will think you know more, or whatever.
yeah.
And that just like goes on throughout each
It's
stage of your
the
career.
it's the obviously we're all like have some form of perfectionism in medicine, and that's a whole other
It attracts
issue.
a certain type.
But even the little setbacks, like not getting into the med school or the residency program that you
Hmm.
want,
Yeah,
or being passed over for the job for somebody else, and that can be just a really it can be a really damaging thing to your sense of self-worth,
Right.
and it's sometimes it's hard for people to overcome that, and so I don't know, maybe you
It
could.
seems like it's trial by fire for you guys, so you
Yeah.
have to figure out some
yeah.
strategies.
That's the
In a world like acting where
Yeah.
there is so much rejection, right? There's so much,
that's
you're
the
doing all
core. I
these
mean,
auditions.
you to be rejected, or to have a moment, what is, the level of devastation or upset or rejection or blowing it, that's a whole different drama for you guys, and hopefully they're few and far between. I'm sure you remember those and they stay with you. If I
Mhm.
was to hold on to the rejections that I go through, I would have quit long ago. And that is the average actor must have resolved that to some extent
Mhm.
psychically early on, or you will quit or you'll go crazy and you'll just be an unhappy person. Because and it just depends on my mood, but I have gotten, you have to have it, you have to start out with a skin, a really thick skin, as you guys have to, just a different
Mhm.
kind of skin, but both
Right.
of them thick. Because I mean, it's 99% of the time it's no, no. And some of those are ones you come really close to, and then you see it
Oh,
becomes a hit, and it's not you, or ones that you really believe you should have gotten and you didn't, or ones that your best friend got, that guy who continues to get them, or one that you just had your heart set on for whatever reason. And it happens over and over and over again. And I'm lucky. I'm one of the lucky ones. I have worked a ton and continue to work a lot. And I was all right, I'll be honest. I at this age, I get up a lot in the middle of the night, to pee. And I think you guys could tell me why. I think it's a prostate thing. I don't know. I think it happens for men. Anyway, at least my fellow male friends of an age. And so I have trouble going back to sleep a lot of the time, and my mind will go. And literally this morning, trying to get back to sleep, if it's not counting sheep or trying to remember like the Super Bowl winners from 1989 to present, whatever will slow my brain down. This morning at 4 a.m. was, how many jobs did I book in the last 3 years? Just going to
oh
go
my
back,
God.
because part of me is being anxious about the fact that when's the next one coming? So my mind will go there,
Right.
but it actually put me to sleep because I was able to go back. But before I fell asleep, I went through certain levels of strain and upset about, well, shit, that was not as many as I wanted. And I remember losing that one and not getting that one. I only got that one. It's been 6 jobs over the last 18
Oh,
months. Like, what does that
making yourself
translate
go
for?
crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. And every actor goes through it, and you just have to learn to let it go. If you hold on to it, it's more like an athlete. I think you guys
Yeah,
have a whole different
right.
level of what you have to deal with. If you're an athlete and you get the ball stolen, and that basketball player who you just let it go and you're on to the next. And that's really in the moment. I mean, that's happening within seconds, and the impact of that is shown at the other side of the court, whether or not you've gotten past it. I usually have anywhere from 24 hours to 24 days between auditions. Either
Mm.
way, whatever that space is, I hope that I have gotten past it and forgotten about it. The problem is that it'll come up. You'll turn on the TV a year later and like, oh, there's that guy playing my part.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate that.
What I'm hearing from you is that it really does, it irritates you to know that Tom Hanks just keeps getting roles over
Dude,
you.
you have no idea. I know, you think you're joking, but Tom and I did actually lose a role to Tom Hanks's son
Oh,
recently.
did
I
you?
was a
Oh,
part. I was like, I am so right for this part. I was like, it was like a period piece about the Nuremberg trials. It was like this sort of. It was described as like a short Jewish doctor. I'm like, okay, hello. I have my glasses, 1947. I was interviewing Goebbels. It was talking about like people from my family who had died. It was like this, I'm getting this part. And I was like, it was like, oh, they liked you. They liked you. Then like 3 weeks later, they were like, yeah, Tom Hanks is son got that. I'm like,
uh,
Oh,
okay.
come on.
And Colin Hayes, a lovely actor.
Yeah,
I'm sure he'll do a
yeah.
fabulous job, but that's the kind of stuff you're like, that's just for me to figure out why, there are things about it that felt like me, but it's a very confusing business. And, you know,
yeah.
g- you
I'm
know,
sure there's so many factors too that go into the decisions, like every
that's the,
decision.
that's
But
the thing you have to let go of too, is that like, however right I think I am, there's a million
Mhm.
reasons and other decision makers and things that have
right,
to happen that I have zero control over for me to actually be the guy who's getting the offer. No idea.
right.
That's
How
part of
much
it to me.
time do you have between like getting like, is it like an audition an audition's available, it's like within 8 hours you're auditioning for something? Like how much lead time do you get for
Well,
that kind of thing?
I mean, things have changed drastically since COVID.
Mm.
It used to be that you could get a call the night before. I've had calls that day. That's usually because some emergency happened and a part got written, an actor fell away. That can happen. And so my skills as a theater actor, I think, came in handy then, because a cold reader, being able to do, play readings, you just like, here's a script, here's sides, I can make a choice and go and make it seem real. That's no preparation time. That could happen occasionally. Usually you
Oh,
had
wow.
at least a couple days, sometimes even up to a week. Um, But since COVID, everything is done remotely. There's no such thing as, at least in terms of film and TV, there's no auditioning in front of anybody anymore. You do it in your own, with your own
Really?
equipment, and so since the
Oh, wow.
actors strike that just was resolved not that long ago, one of the issues was that because actors are doing this on their own and they have their own equipment and they have a preparation that is on them now. It used to be I just go to the casting office and you just have to show up. They have the camera, they have everything. Now it's my camera, it's my lights, it's my. So now there's
Oh,
a rule that you need. I think an actor gets 48 hours minimum. You can't ask an actor, you can't give him an appointment in less than 48 hours to have his tape prepared.
oh, interesting.
So, and you get good at doing it quickly. You hope it's
Sure.
not 10 pages of dialogue. You want it memorized. But I would say average, but it's not less than 2 days. It could be as much as 4, 5.
You mentioned, obviously you went to Juilliard, and so you were, I guess, is that what you would consider like a classically trained acting, like theater acting? That's kind of what your priority was learning in Juilliard. I mean, you tell me because I'm not.
No, you're right. I am a
I've
classically
never been to
trained actor.
Juilliard. I don't know.
You haven't? I went for I played the violin at Juilliard. I was not. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, oh,
You
I
could have.
bought it. You're a
You
very good
totally
actor.
could
Has
have gotten
anyone
this.
ever told you
There
Like,
you
it's
go.
amazing.
I should go in that. No, I did. I graduated from college, and for lack of really knowing what else to do, I knew I wanted to be an actor. But I got in. I auditioned for and got into Juilliard, and so I had 4 years of acting school, which is all theater. And that was what I had done.
Okay.
I didn't know anything but acting in school, plays, and loved it. And so my head was around, I'm going to be a stage actor, but then transition to film and TV. I want to do it all.
So you
Um,
knew you wanted to eventually get into TV, like that was
yes,
part of the
absolutely.
plan
Yeah,
for
that
you,
was since I
right?
was little and
Yeah.
knew I loved it. I had
Yeah.
never done TV or film, but I knew that looked really super cool too. And I just loved all of it and wanted to do it all. But that was the best way to start for me. I got in, and training as an actor was the thing that seemed to me to be the right steps to take. Most actors don't go to graduate school, and you can
Yeah.
be, you don't need it to be a good actor. I don't think it made me a good actor. I think it took what I had and helped mold it a
Sure.
bit and set me off in a certain way. But my expectation was I would get out in New York and, hit the pavement and hopefully do a lot of plays and get TV and film soon. The TV and film didn't come for some time.
Hmm.
And that was frustrating. But yeah, the training was all, when they say classically trained, that means you've had a fair amount of experience learning Shakespeare and the classics, meaning, Shaw or Chekhov. And I think all of that stuff helps me doing any kind of theater. That, I'm not being
Hmm.
snooty about it. For me, drawing on all that and having that actor experience and then doing plays has informed me in a good way for film and TV. Because it's always the same question for any character you play. Who am I? What am I doing? What's my relationship to this person here? It just comes in different contexts, and the experiences between theater and film are completely different, but the questions are the same. An actor is an actor, I think.
You made a offhand comment about having to read lines very quickly and be able to, I guess, memorize them. I'm assuming that you said that came from doing theater. How is that? Why does that exist? I guess you just have to. There's a shorter turnaround time in terms of
Well,
performance, and you.
actually, what I mean is, there are actors who've never set foot on stage who are great at memorizing. That's just every individual, their own rehearsal
Mhm.
process. In TV, at least, the memorization has to happen faster. So I did learn how to do
Mhm.
it quicker because, you might have 3 or 4 different scenes in a week and you'll get the script only 3 days earlier, and you've just got to learn a lot faster, and you don't want to be the guy who doesn't know his lines and is keeping the crew from getting home that night because you're not getting it right. So it's a different kind of memorization. The theater memorization is actually much more luxurious because you have hopefully 4, 5, 6 weeks in which there's no pressure because you're learning it, and the rehearsing and the integrating of the lines is happening in the context of a fully fleshed out rehearsal process, and
Okay.
discussion. that kind of rehearsing, you can ask for it, and I ask for it more now as a more experienced actor, and I feel like I've earned that a little bit. I don't want to slow down any production, but I'm just more comfortable on a TV set or a film set saying to the director, the other actor, "Oh, can we talk about this? Let's do that."
Yeah.
But you never get to do it for very often on a TV or film. But in terms of the why I might be more adept at doing a cold reading is part of my life as a theater actor in New York was, you do plays. Hopefully, you do as many plays as as you can. But what you wind up doing a lot of are staged play readings. That's sort of the stuff that fills in the time. There's millions of
Oh, okay.
projects being developed in New York
Right.
at any moment. Plays, workshops of plays. So there are a lot of different lower levels of production that happen, other than the plays that you would pay money to go see. So I might have a reading, get asked to do a reading, of a play with, the same day or a week. And either way, you're up there on stage with with a stand and the script in front of you, but you're doing sort of performance level, but you haven't had weeks to rehearse it. So my brain
Right.
got good at sort of making good hard choices right away and reading, and being true to a script and making my way through it. And, in a performance with a script, those are certain sort of physical skills that stage actors, I think, are particularly adept at. That makes sense?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does. And it's so interesting. One of my classmates was an actor in and who left acting to go to med school. And at first, for a long time, I was like, there's just no overlap there. Like
Where's the connective
where
tissue
yeah,
between those
exactly. Where's the
two?
overlapping skills? And to be honest, there
Memorizing.
really are some.
Yeah.
The more we've talked to you, the more I realize, there's some of the things that you're talking about, are skills that can translate between
Right.
even
I mean,
two
again,
disparate fields.
yours are more like they can be life and death and all that comes up to that. But you need to be
Well, you
on your
keep saying that,
toes.
but
You need to be on your
remember, I'm an
toes.
ophthalmologist, Peter.
Hey.
All right. There's no life and death in ophthalmology. All right. It's
All right.
one or two, three
Okay.
or four. What kind of,
I was
it
trying
gets
to
a little
build
bit
you
more
up, man. If
complicated.
you want, I was giving you a platform for some serious cool shit. But okay. Anyway, but I'm saying that the stakes are higher
They
regardless
are,
because
yes.
somebody is in your
Yes.
care and there is a certain level of presence and
Yep.
improv, like and nimbleness
Yeah.
of mind that you need. Look, there are a million careers where that is true, but I like to think that actors have something in common with doctors in that regard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who's to say you can't someday save someone's life with Shakespeare? I don't know. It's possible, Yeah.
Crazier things have happened.
Exactly.
I'm guessing you've seen it.
I I want to do a one more thing before we let you go, Peter. And so you are an actor who has been a fake doctor, okay? A pretend doctor. I
Play
shouldn't
one
say fake.
on TV.
Pretend doctor. I am a doctor who pretends to be an actor. I have this social media, do the Dr. Glaucomfleckens thing, so I like talk to myself on
He puts on
TikTok.
costumes and records himself talking to himself as different characters
Yes.
here in our house.
Yes.
Wow,
I'm
that is
not
good
sure
efficient.
how familiar you are with medical TikTok accounts, but it's I do a lot of
I need
this.
to note for you that this began after I was married to him.
Okay,
So
because you wouldn't be sitting there if it hadn't.
yeah.
I understand.
So what I thought we could do is maybe I could ask for a couple of questions about being an actor, like the physically how to do it, and if you have any questions about medicine, that's maybe you're afraid to ask.
It sounds like you might have some prostate questions.
Yeah. I'm happy to talk to you about the prostate. We could, I still got a little bit of that knowledge. That we could exchange some information here. All right, some
Fortunately,
advice.
no exam is possible at the moment, but yes, let me think about
That's
it.
right.
We can do a lot of things virtually these days.
Okay. Telehealth.
Sure you can.
All right. Here's my first question for you.
All right.
How do I make myself cry?
Oh God.
Like, can you give me just a quick a tip here? Because there have been a couple of times where I've talked about the U.S. healthcare system that I really wanted to drum up some tears.
Well, it can be a long process. You have the technical way to do it, which is sometimes done on film or television, there's a certain chemical, some little thing that can be squirted. It's like I guess it's menthol. I've seen or had for myself menthol squirted in my eyes right before, but I don't know how, if you're in the middle of a healthcare speech, you'd have to be like find some way to get it without anybody noticing, maybe pretend to scratch your eye and actually squeeze it into both eyes. That's the technical way of bringing it about.
Okay.
I don't think you're going to be able to do that. The rest is you gotta study acting. You gotta do the Stanislavski. You gotta go back to the great method acting where you have to learn how to recall something very sad in your life, a death, something, whatever brings up tears, at least that you remember bringing up tears. Spend some time on your own in whatever room you can be away from. You guys don't want to be together when you're doing this. And just get in it, remember it, and hopefully in the moment during that speech, when you find some sort of trigger that reminds you of your dog's death, and you're there. But it's a long process.
I think I'll go with the mental on the eyes.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is where you can't be a real actor, is because you would have to be in touch with your emotions.
Now that I know who we're dealing with, then just, yes. I suspected that you were sort of zombie-like in that way.
I thought you were going to say maybe like you pull a nose hair or something.
Ooh, that can do it. Well, that was my medical question for you, was why does one cry when you pull a nose hair?
That's a great question.
Yeah, is it attached
Yeah, so there's a nerve. It's like it's the nasociliary nerve, and so when you pull a nose hair, it just activates this nervous system that's attached to your tears, your lacrimal glands, and so you produce tears from that stimulus of the nerve. It has been a treatment for dry eye. Believe it or not, there was a device that not surprisingly, it never really caught on. It's a two-pronged device. You stick up your nose, and it basically electrocutes your nerve,
your nose hair,
your nerve up there.
Now wait, if something that extreme, would it then bring on tears that could be lasting in any way because it's sort of an extreme?
Well, I mean, it does last for a bit.
How many nose hairs do you have?
That I will not.
It does hopefully your tears do last a while, but it does require repeated applications, which is a reason why it didn't catch on, I think.
Okay, well, I'm just saying that you didn't try it in the entertainment business. I'm wondering if the menthol thing has maybe had its day. If you and I now have, like, I don't know,
like a business opportunity here.
Yeah. I think that stimulator, the intranasal stimulator, actually would work great on a set.
Would you as an ophthalmologist prefer that to people putting menthol in their eyes?
I would. It seems more comfortable. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, although I don't know, it's not. Let me ask the main question for actors who are not the toughest dudes in the world: does it hurt when you do this? Because this is only.
It's just kind of like getting buzzed with like a fake hand buzzer. It's
a bit of a jolt.
Okay. So it's not like a pain shock.
Not
it's
painful.
Just like a
vibration. Ooh, I just electrocuted.
I've needed, menthol's not worked for me in the past, and I wasn't able to sort of get there emotionally. So, and I'm serious. This is we're onto something.
This is something I have to see if I'll look into see if we can find any on eBay.
Okay. I mean, it doesn't come with a machine.
Trying to apply it to the wrong field.
No, machine is. It's like just you can.
No, it's a little handheld thing. Yeah, it's got two prongs on it. You stick it in your nose and buzz it, and then you start tearing up.
How about that?
I am serious. I am not joking. Okay. All right.
There you go.
At least patent it, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, really.
Oh man, the company that makes it, I'm sure they're all doing something else at this point. But maybe they'd be interested to know that the acting community could really benefit from their product.
They just tried to put it in the wrong spot. They should try acting.
All right, here's another question I have for you. All right, so I record these videos, and I'm it's all on my face. Like TikTok video. I don't know if you've been on TikTok. Do you have TikTok on your phone?
I don't, but I've seen it occasionally.
Yeah. Good for you, by the way. It's a big waste of
you
time.
don't
You saw
need
how
that.
hard it was
But
for me to even
anyway.
get this set up. I was not going to do that.
So,
Silly question.
as I age, I find myself in certain times feeling like maybe I could benefit from a little makeup.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure you probably you have people that do this for you, right? Getting you ready for a scene.
Yes.
Are there any like very basic like tips you have for me from like a acting makeup standpoint?
Boy, that's really in the wilderness on this one. I mean, it depends on the person.
I
You
mean,
seem
he's starting from literally 0, so you can
okay.
only go up.
All right.
So no pressure.
Fine. Then I'm a pro. All right. Listen to what I'm about to tell you.
All
I
right.
can tell, although I can tell from here on Zoom, both of you seem to have lovely, somewhat, I would say, not swarthy, but more olive complected, like myself.
Mhm.
That I'm just seeing that you're neither of you are particularly pale. So that means so there's
Well,
not a
it's
lot.
definitely the lighting we have
Yeah.
because Kristen is
Okay.
very
Very
pale.
pale.
I
Okay.
am a
He-
bit more what
yes.
you
You're a
described.
little more
Yes.
olive. I have olive skin. My point is that I don't usually require much. Where I tend to need most makeup is in my deep canyon-like eyes, where
Oh,
they start like 8 inches back. So the lighting, I need to.
We
This
call
needs
that
to
a
be brought up.
prominent brow. You have a prominent
Well, it's
brow.
fighting with a prominent nose, so there's a lot of prominence going on. The result is my eyes get lost. Doesn't look to me like your eyes will get lost, but this is an area where a little bit of base, you'd have to find your color base. Obviously, I
Okay.
have no idea what color your skin actually is because I blew it.
Yep.
So
That is the area. It does
this
get a
right
little
here.
dark. Yeah.
Okay. So just want to do that.
Okay.
That'll bring up. You don't want to look like a raccoon. You want to subtlety is the key.
Yes.
I don't think you don't have the wrinkles that I do. If you were getting on stage and I wanted to really hide this, I would. But I play my
Yeah.
age.
Okay.
I don't care. So
A little bit
go
around the
here
eyes.
a little bit there, but make sure that that's the right color. You got to find your right
Right.
skin color.
Kristen, you could help me with that?
Oh yeah.
Find my
I would-
color?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, good.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about your prostate.
Well, I was going to ask you what is the actual, how many years between colonoscopies am I supposed to have?
Oh.
I get different
oh my
things.
goodness.
Do
Like
you know
4,
this one? I
5,
feel like this was
3?
updated.
If it's definitely more than 3 and 5. It used to be when I was going through med school, it was like every 10 years, but you started at like when I first started, it was 50 that you started, but I think it's even they're recommending
45?
it earlier now. I think it's
Oh no, I don't
45
mean what
now.
age. I know I'm already past that age. I mean, how many times am I?
You mean how often?
How often?
How often you're
There you
supposed to?
go.
Yeah. I think if you have like 0 risk factors, like you've never had any polyps or anything unusual show up, then I think it's like 8 to 10.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right, now
Yeah.
I'm ready to talk about
If
my
you have
prostate.
risk factors, if you have a personal history of any abnormalities or family history, then it's sooner than that. It's
All right.
like 3 to 5. So
Okay.
yeah. And then after we're done talking, I am going to search this.
I just did that for you.
And I might have to issue a correction at the beginning of this episode.
I wasn't supposed to ask that question. I'm
No,
sorry.
no.
I'm not supposed to put you on the spot.
No, it's good. No, that's good. It stretches again. I'm an ophthalmologist.
Yeah, this is
Peter.
why we have the legal disclaimer on this podcast that none of this is medical
See,
advice.
here's
here we go.
I
No,
don't know what ophthalmology is. So I don't
it's
know what
eye surgery. It's eye surgery. It's eye surgery. But
See, he's a very good actor.
I know. God, look
He's
at
so
that. I'd
every
believe
time.
anything you say,
I
Peter.
know.
So our producer chimed in here. The American College of Gastroenterology recommends waiting 10 years between screening colonoscopies if you're over 50
Really?
and have an average risk of colon cancer.
That's
But
gotten-
your doctor might recommend earlier depending on risk factors. So I was right.
Yeah. Ish.
Good.
Ish.
Thank you.
All right. All right. My last question for you, okay, before we end. Should I quit medicine and become an actor?
I thought you were going to ask that in the first 5 minutes of this interview. I'm surprised you waited that long. But we all knew it was coming.
We all
and
knew-
I
we all
have
knew
the
it was
answer
coming.
prepared right here. Hold on, I just had to get my notes. Oh boy. Yes. Well, I mean, should you? That I can't answer. There's nothing that's happened in the last 64 minutes that has screamed at me, this guy should stop what he's doing and become an actor. Now, I'm not insulting you. I'm not saying that you wouldn't be great. I'm just saying that it's not like, oh God, you've got to do it. If you feel you must, if you
It's
are at a
gotta,
point in
yeah.
your life where it's what, then I would say go for it. With aside from all the difficult stuff we talked about, which I enjoy talking about because that's what it's there, and so I don't think we should avoid it. It is a lovely, wonderful, fabulous time. I love the shifting of people. It's a new job means a new family. The new this, new that, new characters, alongside the unmitigated hell that it is. It is a lovely, beautiful, wonderful career to have, and I wouldn't have changed it for anything. But you got to get lucky. So I don't know how patient you are. You bring intelligence and a very specific set of knowledge. I don't know how thick your skin actually is. Well, we did talk about that. I take that back. You're an ophthalmologist. You have very thick skin.
I got a bit of it. I got a bit
Go
of
for
it.
it. Go
Got a
for
bit
it.
of skin.
What did
See?
you want it? You
Kristen?
want it?
Okay, first of all, she's never gonna let me do that. No. And I think in my romanticized thought idea of like,
Yeah, the
entertainment,
reality of a
Hollywood,
career in
acting,
it is
I would
different
be
than
like,
your
yes,
fantasy.
this seems
Yeah,
great. I would love
Yeah.
to do it. But I think I'll stick with social media. I don't know.
I mean, look, if I had met you recently, might be different. But I went through med school and like I was married to him while he was doing all of those things. So I'm not about to just.
We'll put a pin in it, Peter. We'll come back to that.
But
I'll
the-
think
Have you
about
ever played a marriage therapist?
it. Is it too late? Is it too late for me? I'm now almost
It
40.
is never too. Oh, please, no, it's never too late. Never too
Okay.
late. I
All
really
right.
don't think so. I think it's never too late.
Yeah.
And if it's a passion, if it's a fire burning in you, then you go for it. I do think
Well,
that's true.
I appreciate that's great advice. That really is. All right, Peter, we'll let you go. Anything you want to tell our audience about? Anything you're working on? Anything you want them to go see?
There's a HBO show called Girls on the Bus that's, I believe, still running. They just did dropped, or it's in the process of dropping. I'm in that, and that is a terrific show about a group of female journalists on a presidential campaign. And it's on at Max, I guess is what they call it, HBO Max, and it's got a great cast. And I pop up now and then on that. In that show,
great.
I'm in a movie coming out in July with Channing Tatum and Scarlett Johansson called Fly Me to the Moon. It's sort of comedy about the period piece about the moon launch in the 60s. And those two are great. And I just finished doing the sequel to the movie Smile, that crazy horror movie that came out a couple years ago.
Yeah.
They're doing another one. And that
was a phenomenon. That was big.
It was great. And they're doing a second one, and it's going to be bigger. And that's in that comes out, I think, in the fall. So
that's great.
it. I don't know. I don't
Awesome.
like to push myself but my agent
That's
said,
all
well,
right.
you always got to talk about it. So.
That's good. That's good.
That's right.
All right. Well, really appreciate your time. Thanks. It was great to meet. It was great to meet Dr. Taub. So
you guys were terrific, and it was lovely and fun. And I hope you got what you wanted. It was great to talk about this.
Yeah, it was
I'm,
great.
As
Thanks
always, in awe of anybody in the medical field. You guys
I
have my undying
that.
respect. So,
all right, take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye, guys.
Hey, Kristen.
Yeah.
You know what I have?
What?
A box full of eyelid mites.
Oh, you shouldn't
Look
have.
at these little guys. Look at their cute little legs and
the ribbing.
Yeah, look at this.
Right. What is?
I want you to just be
Are
able
you
to
doing this?
experience all of them. Look at that. We got so many.
Mm-hmm.
You know what these guys will do?
What?
They cause a disease called Demodex blepharitis.
That doesn't sound fun.
Yeah. So if you've ever had red, itchy, irritated eyelids, it could be because of this. You know, like crusty, flaky buildup on your eyelashes.
Yeah, that sounds uncomfortable.
No, it's. I mean, look, but I mean, they are like really cute though. Look at the little beady eyes. Look at the,
Yeah. Okay.
Well, don't get freaked out by this.
Why not? It sounds awful.
Just get checked out.
Oh,
It's an
well,
eyelid.
that does make more sense.
You gotta get checked out for this. To find out more about Demodex blepharitis, you go to eyelidcheck.com. That's EYELID check.com to get more information about these little guys and Demodex blepharitis. What's your favorite character from House?
House.
House himself,
No,
Hugh Laurie.
he was a good character though.
You were not as big of a fan of. You didn't watch as religiously as I did. I think
that's always been true of any show. Yes,
that's true. It was so awesome to talk to.
It was really cool.
Peter.
Yeah, he was so nice and just like full of fascinating information.
I want more advice.
Yeah,
acting advice. I want him to just teach me. Just maybe like I want to be like his apprentice.
Oh.
And then seamlessly go into an acting career without struggling. Can I have that?
Well, the first step is you need to close your eyes
and go to sleep.
Go to sleep.
And then I can make it happen.
Yeah.
Oh no, that was a really fun conversation.
Yeah.
And
he was great. No, I really did like his character on House.
Absolutely.
Because of the sarcasm and stuff. Yeah, I mean, people can probably tell by now we appreciate some good sarcasm.
Yeah, he was a good character, and I love the way the whole House MD having basically a reality show to find who's going to be the next part of their team. Part of me kind of wishes residency selection was still like that, but it would be a little bit stressful.
That would be the worst.
And very unethical.
Yes.
So anyway. All right. Well, let us know what you guys thought of that episode. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Our first actor. It's very exciting. All right. Maybe we'll have some more fake doctors on the show. That'd be great.
I like that idea.
I know. Let's see. What else do we talk? Oh, we got we're on tour.
Yes.
The Wife and Death Glaucomflecken tour. We're going all over the place. Get your tickets now. Go to glaucomflecken.com/live.
Yes. And if you don't see the city that you're looking for, just let us know where you'd like us to go. We're looking into further dates as well. Don't despair.
We're going to be moving this into 2025. See, I do still occasionally have to see patients.
This is the problem.
So I can't. I wish I could do like a 50-city tour over the course of 6 months, but it doesn't work. So I'm doing the most I can, and we're doing the most we can. Yeah. But so 2025 there'll be more. There'll be more.
Yes, glaucomflecken.com/live to see our tour schedule and buy tickets.
And lots of ways you can reach us. Email us, knockknockhi@human-content.com. We can visit us on our social media channels. Hang out with us in our Human Content Podcast family on Instagram and TikTok @Human Content Pods. Thanks to all the wonderful listeners leaving feedback. We love those reviews. If you subscribe and comment on your favorite podcasting app or on YouTube, we can give you a shout out. Like @nab-rk4ob. on YouTube said, "You two are so cute."
You're so cute.
We're so cute. Like I'm a little cuter, but whatever, it's fine. Full video episodes are up every week on my YouTube channel @Glaucomflecken. Lots of cool perks, bonus episodes, react to medical shows and movies. Hang out with us and other people in our little community, our little growing township. We're active in the community as well. We're there. Interacting, talking, doing stuff, early ad-free episode access, interactive Q&A live stream events, much more. Go to patreon.com/Glaucomflecken or go to glaucomflecken.com. Speaking of Patreon community perps, let's shout out to Jonathan, shall we?
Hi, Jonathan.
Let's do it. Patrick, Lucia C, Sharon S, Omar, Edward K, Stephen G, Jonathan F, Marion W, Mr. Grandetti, Caitlin C, Brianna L, KL, Keith G, JJ H, Derek and Mary H, Susanna F, Jenny G, Jenny J.
You do it every time.
Just Jenny G. It sounds. Can I just call you Jenny G from now on? Mohammed K, Aviga, Parker, Ryan, Mohammed L, David H, Jack K, David H again, Medical Meg, Bubbly Salt, and
Pink Macho.
Patreon Roulette. Random shout out to Eleanor F for being a patron. Thank you, Eleanor.
Eleanor.
And thank you all for listening. We're your hosts, Will and Krista Flannery, also known as the Glaucomfleckens. Special thanks to our guest, Peter Jacobson. Our executive producers are Will Flannery, Krista Flannery, Aaron Corney, Rob Goldman, and Shanti Brick. Editor and engineer Jason Pertizzo. Our music is by Omar Ben-Zvi. To learn about our Knock Knock Hi's program disclaimer and ethics policies, mission verification, licensing terms, and HIPAA release terms, you can go to glaucomflecken.com or reach out to us at knockknockhi@human-content.com with any questions, concerns, or fun medical puns. Knock Knock Hi is a Human Content production.
Knock, knock, goodbye.
Hey, Kristen, you know what these little stuffed Dax Copilot dragons make me think of?
What, these little stuffed animals?
Jonathan.
Oh.
I need to get Jonathan a little hat like this.
Yeah, a little Copilot hat.
And what if he had wings, too?
That would just
Flying
be a game
around,
changer.
flying
Yeah, I'm
around.
surprised he doesn't already have wings. You should
Just
have thought of that.
fixing burnout anywhere he goes. Well, that's what you get with the Nuanced Dragon ambient experience. Did you know that?
That's pretty awesome.
Absolutely. 80% of patients actually say their physician is more focused with the DAX Copilot. 85% of patients say their physician is more personable and conversational with the DAX Copilot. It really does make a huge difference in patient care.
And in that patient-physician relationship.
Absolutely. You just get to focus on what got you into medicine in the first place.
Right.
You know, not documentation.
Right.
Taking care of the patient. To learn more about the Nuanced Dragon Ambient Experience or DAX Copilot, visit nuance.com/discover DAX. That's nuance.com/discover DAX. Thanks for watching the episode. You can find more on that playlist over there. If you prefer to listen or you just had your eyes dilated, you can binge full episodes wherever you get your podcasts. Or join the party over on Patreon, where you get early access episodes, hang out with us, get lots of exclusive bonus content. Hope you subscribe, leave a comment below. Let us know what you think.